Hello, welcome, and I am here with Nick Gerli, doing a little interview on all things Columbus. And Nick is here. He runs a consulting firm called Reventure Consulting, and it's basically on analytics of Columbus or of database on all cities, but we're focused on Columbus today. So Nick's joining us to kind of talk about Columbus, and we're gonna look at the data of Columbus. So we're not looking at opinions, what people think, because I can make an argument that I believe Columbus is the greatest city, but that's my opinion. So today we're here to prove that with Nick and to prove how great Columbus is with the analytics and the data to show you just how great Columbus is. So Nick, thank you and welcome and thank you for taking the time to do this.
Yeah, Ryan, thank you for having me on and taking the time to talk to me as well. I just a little background on myself. I moved to Columbus in January. I grew up in the Northeast, but moved here for a consulting project in January, and I live downtown. And I really like the city. I didn't know what to expect coming here. I had a variety of different maybe opinions on the Midwest here, but been pleasantly surprised. Columbus has been a great city so far, 8 months in at this point. And, I really like living downtown and like learning about all the little neighborhoods like German Village and Grandview. And so it's been a great place so far. But to what I do specifically, I do a lot of data analytics related to real estate and basically trying to quantify what the best areas, like the best cities to invest in, and then what are the best locations within those cities to invest in. And the way we kind of figure that out is looking at which areas are most likely to grow in terms of population and in terms of income. Because the combination of those two is really what determines, do home prices go up, things like that. So, after I moved to Columbus, I started spending a lot of time, digging into the numbers and kind of confirming my perceptions of what I was seeing around me. So that's been an exciting thing to do.
Yeah, we've had a lot of conversations. I just enjoy our conversation because you kind of quantify what I'm thinking, and I'm very much like, oh, I feel like this is a great area. I feel like this is awesome. Like
from the gut, yeah.
I'm very much a gut guy, but then I go to you and you're like, here's the data here. I can show you why this is such a good area, why this is a good choice, or what makes this area great, or just here's some interesting information on the area. And
sure.
I kind of want to start with the interesting information about Columbus. So just some general kind of thoughts on Columbus. What's going on here, who's coming here. I guess my first question would be like, who's in Columbus, who's coming here, and really why are they coming here?
Sure. As far as who's in Columbus, I think what makes Columbus special, particularly for its Midwest location, is how young the city is.
Yeah.
It has one of the 15 highest, what I'm calling millennial shares of the population, and a lot of people disparage millennials this day.
People don't realize how old millennials really are now. I think
25 to 44 is essentially the age range, and millennials kind of drive the bus when it comes to growth. They're earning the most. They're the most productive workers, and they're the ones who are having kids for future population.
And spending a lot of the money.
And exactly. And so Columbus ranks, above the 80th percentile of US cities in millennial share, and it's way higher than its Midwest neighbors. So typically, Ohio and some of the states around Ohio are pretty old. Columbus is this, shining star in the middle, which is, really youthful and really young. And so that's really great for actually Columbus's prospects for the future, because if you think about it, a young population is good for business, right? You have more people to work and more productive workforce. But to that point I said earlier, younger population has more kids. And when you have more kids, you want to buy a bigger house and you need to buy more cars, and more kids go to school and you need more teachers, and it grows.
Yeah.
Exactly, and it grows the economy. So that's probably like what stuck out to me the most about Columbus was how young it is. And then
Now, why is that? Like, is it because we have jobs young people want? We have the things, like, is it, I mean, I think
so
Columbus has, the stuff young people want too.
yeah, so and I'm going to share my screen real quick here to show some graphs on this. So um,
I love
so
graphs.
yeah, so this graph here shows the millennial share of the population, and every gray line is a different city in the U.S. And these are the different years. And Columbus is the pink bar. So you can see actually a city's millennial share in youth is fairly consistent over time. It doesn't change a whole lot. These blue lines are some of other cities in the Midwest, like Pittsburgh, Indianapolis, Cleveland. So as far as why Columbus is younger, I think it's actually kind of a complicated question. Obviously, Ohio State University has something to do with it. But a lot of these other Midwest cities have big universities and they're older. I think if I had to guess, I would say that, whereas a lot of the Midwest in the last 20 years has suffered economically, was heavily manufacturing based, Columbus was kind of growing the entire time. So it served as a magnet from, people from Dayton and Toledo and Akron and wherever else, Western Pennsylvania to move to. And so, that's probably my best guess of why that is.
I agree. About every other person I talk to is from those cities you mentioned, and I'm one of them. I'm from Dayton, moved here to Columbus and have just fallen in love with it. But yeah, I talk to a lot of people that are from Northeast Ohio or a lot of rural areas that they want to come to a city, but they don't want to, go to New York or LA. I had that graph you just shared. There was one city that was way above the rest.
Oh yeah, sure. What
city's that?
Let me go back.
Just like,
do you have a guess at what that city is?
I'm gonna guess New York or LA, but
no, Austin, Texas.
Austin, Texas. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. The top cities here. It's Austin, Denver, Seattle, San Francisco. Kind of the tech hub type cities, and then an interesting thing that I always find funny is that these bottom cities are Florida for the most part.
Yeah.
And one of these ones is Youngstown, Ohio.
Okay.
Yes, Youngstown is the oldest city in the U.S., not in Florida.
Oh wow, that's an interesting little statistic. I'm not surprised though.
Yeah.
I would never, I never thought of it, but yeah, I'm not surprised. That's awesome. Well, thanks for sharing all that. So what in your opinion would you say, like, obviously that, having young people here helps. Is there anything else that you think like makes Columbus unique in itself?
Sure. Obviously certain aspects of the lifestyle are unique. One thing I noticed coming from the Northeast, coming from Boston and New York originally, those cities have really bad traffic, like really bad traffic. And you go to even other growth cities like Nashville and Austin, they have really bad traffic. Columbus is very livable. The traffic isn't bad. It's easy to get around. There's space to breathe. It's not too dense. So for all that it offers in terms of, career and lifestyle, it's a very livable city. And so I think that's something that's really unique about it, which, it's one of the first things I picked up on when I moved here.
Yeah. I agree. I hear that all the time where people coming from the Northeast, especially, or out, the LA.
Definitely. I mean, I'm sure the traffic is a little different because of COVID, but
yes, it's weird.
It's not exactly, let's say, representative, but I feel like I'm able to get to anywhere I want to go within 15 minutes from downtown.
Yeah, I agree. Now, what areas in particular of Columbus do you see like the most positive growth? I would say,
yeah,
from the numbers and all that stuff.
So, I mean, the first two areas I'm going to mention, I think will be, maybe people will roll their eyes because they're so obvious, but Grandview, German Village.
Even with the price points, they're they're still growing at a spectacular.
Yes, they're really special
Yeah.
locations. Not just for being in Columbus, just in general across every city, they're special. And the reason they're special is they've pulled off this interesting combination where they're really young areas, but they're really wealthy areas.
Yeah.
That usually those things are inverse. Like usually to accrue wealth and really make money, you have to kind of go into your older years, right? But it seems kind of like all the up and coming, upwardly mobile people who are young with money have cemented themselves in those two neighborhoods. And when that happens, growth just becomes perpetual. And there's really no replacement for those neighborhoods. And of course, a place like German Village has so much additional things going on, character and like great restaurants and all that other stuff. But the combination of youth and wealth in those two locations really stuck out to me. Like you might have, a place like Upper Arlington has wealth, right? But it doesn't have as much youth. A place like Dublin might be similar.
Yeah.
Really what cements your growth is if you have youth and wealth. And that's German Village and Grandview. So
Yeah.
even at the up higher price points, I would have no fear if the money is there to invest in those neighborhoods. I would have no trepidation. The other thing is, this area is also just really supply constrained. I mean, German Village, nothing's getting built in German Village.
Yeah. Nothing new.
Some stuff on the periphery of Grandview, but
yeah, it's a good point. And that's kind of what I tell people too, as I tell my clients that, this is, solid investment. It's not going back. It's never gone backwards.
no.
I don't see it ever going backwards because, and I never put together the two, the youth and wealth, but that's a great point you make. Okay. So let's talk a little bit about like just, jobs and here in Columbus. We talked, we hit that a little bit, but what kind of jobs are here and like what's the average incomes? Is it very,
Sure.
Obviously it varies location to location, but just give us a little like, big picture idea of what that looks like here in Columbus.
Yeah. So Columbus has kind of what I view as like three core industries that propel its growth. One is healthcare, especially kind of in the urban core region where you have Nationwide Children's and Mount Carmel and OSU's not too far. So healthcare is really bringing in a lot of people from outside the Midwest. So in terms of those people transplanting from the gateway cities in New York and LA, and they're usually working in healthcare and coming into Columbus. Tech is probably the second. Columbus's tech scene went from non-existent 10 years ago, and I'm going to share my screen one more time.
Yeah, I think this is what really, really hit the gas pedal on Columbus is what you're
Yeah, so this graph here is showing venture capital investment. So a venture capital firm is one that has money and then goes and seeks out tech startups that are doing, really innovative things and invests in them. And you can see the annual investment in Columbus's tech startups.
Wow.
The early 2010s was kind of low. It was like 50 to 100 million a year. And then really starting in 2018, it just took off. Went from about 100 million to 500 million per year. And through the first half of 2020 as well, there's been a lot of investment too. So
that's weird. Yeah.
The tech scene is real. And so Columbus's growth in venture capital investment is actually the highest of any city in the US by a large margin, excluding Santa Cruz, California.
Yeah, even then that's kind of just you got to exclude them anyways.
Got to exclude them. It's California. It's California, right?
Not fair to compare yourself to them, but we're still beating them.
We're still beating them. So, one thing that kind of bothers me is when I feel like every city thinks that they're a tech city.
Yeah.
Every city sells themselves as a tech hub, but Columbus is actually becoming a tech hub.
You have the numbers to show it.
You have the numbers to show it. And so, Cover My Meds sold to a big McKinsey in 2017 for over $1 billion. They're a unicorn. Root Insurance, located downtown, is a unicorn. Olive, which does healthcare tech, located downtown, is soon to be a unicorn. And all these companies are located close to each other, close to the downtown area. So it's kind of forming this little tech innovation cluster. And once something like that gets formed, the growth just comes, because all of a sudden VC firms and startups start viewing this area as like a place I need to be if I want to be on the ground floor of these industries. So tech is the second, and probably, to be honest, the most exciting of all the industries. Yeah. And then, business and financial services, a little boring, but Columbus, obviously, with Nationwide and Chase and all those companies, has a big foothold there. So, it's those really three core industries which are
great point.
Driving the growth.
That's great. Now, if someone was looking to move here to Columbus, what would you think they would be spending, like, either renting or owning? Do you have those statistics as well?
Yeah, I do. So another great thing about Columbus is that it's
yeah, I think this is one of the reasons why these companies are moving here, because they know they can get good young, work for a reason.
Yes, exactly. So right. So they're moving here because, all right, you have the youth, right? You have educated people. The other thing, renting affordability. So you look at rent to income ratios. So that divides what the average annual rent is divided by the average annual income.
Yeah.
The cities with the red bars, like New York, basically 42% of your gross income is going to your rent. In Boston, 30.5% is. In Columbus, 18% of your gross income is going to your rent. Literally half. It's 2 times cheaper to live in Columbus, and that's tremendous. Because as you said, businesses are, that also probably relates to commercial rent and businesses. It's cheaper to operate. People, it's cheaper to live. And so, one thing we talked about a little earlier before the call was, I've identified 4 key criteria for a city in terms of its growth, and youth was one, education was another, tech was another, and then affordability is the 4th. Columbus is checking the box on all of them, and that's what actually has me really, really excited about beyond being here and seeing it. It's just the verification and all those different.
I think you hit it on the head there. That's why Columbus is such a stable city, but also it's why it's such an exciting city as well. Why we get a lot of there's a lot of excitement, a lot of stuff happening. Why it's such a great place to be. Now, how many other cities how many cities hit all 4 of those check boxes?
Yeah, there's not too many. I would say Columbus ranks, if you aggregate everything and look, Columbus is around the top 10 in the U.S. And that top 10 is a pretty impressive list of cities. It's Austin, it's Denver, it's Salt Lake, it's Seattle, it's Columbus. So Columbus is like swinging with the heavyweights when it comes to this stuff.
Yeah, we used to be a little, just a little, the little capital of Ohio and all this.
That's right.
You either went to watch a football game or you went to tour the Capitol. That's it. But now Columbus.
Yeah, now it's a diverse, multifaceted city.
Anything else that you just want to say? Hey, obviously we hit on a lot of the big picture stuff and why I think Columbus is so great. I want to ask you a question really from less about analytics, but part of the analytics. But what is your prediction for Columbus in the next, growth-wise and future? You say, 5-10 years from now, what do you think
Sure.
it's going to continue to be?
Yeah, it's a good segue because I can't make it all flowery. I just need to talk about areas where Columbus might struggle. So into that, one thing that we talked about earlier is Columbus. A lot of its growth over the last 20 years was based on absorbing people from the Midwest, and Columbus almost benefited from the fact that other cities in the Midwest struggled.
That's a great point you make.
And so it was a certain amount of low-hanging fruit, whereas like Columbus was the best option. So for Columbus to maintain, those growth rates of 2% a year, they need to start attracting people from more than just the Midwest,
Yeah.
from coastal markets. People need to be moving from Denver, from New York, from San Francisco. That is starting to happen, but it's still a fairly small share. And so I think Columbus definitely needs to work on that. And I think the tech scene will have a huge impact there. The other headwind is the fashion industry. So, all those local big fashion brands, Victoria's Secret and Express and Lane Bryant, they're all really struggling right now.
Yeah.
And so that's a big share of the employment in the city. Yeah. And I think, there's already a downward trend with retail and things like that. And then obviously coronavirus hit. So those are a couple headwinds. So factoring those in, I still think Columbus is going to be a top growth market for sure. There's just too much momentum, healthcare and in tech, and then in demographics to stop that. So
I think every city's going to have a challenge with COVID and the pandemic. They're all going to have challenges. So how Columbus responds with those challenges also will play a huge factor.
Sure. I think they've handled so far, as bad a situation as it is. I think they've handled it fairly.
Yeah.
I think they've kind of found the right middle ground. In between making sure things are safe, but then not stopping, business too much and freedom too much. And so I've actually been really impressed with the leadership here.
Yeah, I agree.
So,
and that will end, hopefully sooner or later. But it will end eventually, and how cities take off afterwards is going to be a big tell what happens in the future. So, well, Nick, I appreciate your time.
Yeah, Ryan, this was great.
I love this. We have to do this more often. We have these conversations ourselves. I'm like, we need to record something because I enjoy the conversation so much. And if you're looking just to learn about, really any city, Nick does his research throughout the whole nation. International stuff yet?
Not on the international stuff
Not
yet.
international stuff yet.
That's in version 2.0. But Reventure Consulting is my company, and it's reventureconsulting.com. And I do all this research on a city level, and then also getting down to specific neighborhoods. And really, it's so people in real estate, whoever they are, can better understand their investments and where they live, where they want to live.
Yeah, so definitely, if you're looking to pour money into an area and make an investment, like it's good to have facts, not just your gut feeling. That's something I really appreciate about Nick, is that he's able to give us the facts and the numbers and to say, here's what we're looking at, and so that's great. And where is there? Are you on like social media at all?
Yeah. So I'm on Twitter primarily, and it's at ReventureCO is my Twitter handle. And then I'm also on LinkedIn under Nick Gerli, me personally, as well as Reventure Consulting has a page on LinkedIn, and those are the two areas I post the most.
Yeah. Reach out to him if you have any questions. Just if it's you just want to know about a city or more about Columbus, definitely reach out to Nick. He's more than happy to talk with you. He's taking a lot of time.
Definitely.
Sit down with me and just to get a better grasp of what's going on here. So highly recommend that. If you're looking at making an investment, or if you know someone working with a big firm that needs to have some analytics, he's your man. So Nick, I appreciate it. Again, find him at Reventure Consulting. And again, I'm Ryan Deeter. I'm a local real estate agent here in Columbus, also founder of the All About Columbus page, and would love to help you if you're looking to make a move to Columbus or even within Columbus. Love to help you make that move, make it as smooth as possible, and have people like Nick on my team that can make you feel more confident about that move. So I love it. Thanks again, Nick, and I look forward to the next one.
Thanks, Ryan.